Namaste and good evening. Today we are back again. A Chinese proverb says only a healing art enables one to make a name for himself or herself and at the same time gives benefit to others. Our guest for tonight is a true example of the above proverb. She is a person who has been giving, and still giving to the society whatever she has learned and gained. She is none other than Dr. Nishi Bhatt. Dr. Nishi resides between London and India. She has been brought up in London and operates her own alternative therapy clinic known as Nadi Yoga, along with her husband and business partner, Dr. Ashish Gilutra, in Dehradun, India. She uses natural motor therapy programs, dietary counseling, herbal medicines, nutritional medicines, flower essences, and lifestyle education to treat patients for health issues in a range of areas such as ataxia, cerebral palsy, autism, delayed and global development issues, hormonal disorders, sleep disorders, neonatal, nerve degeneration and damage, digestive disorders, fertility, and stress. She typically provides patients from all around, she typically treats patients from all around the world with an initial consultation to get a holistic understanding of their health, and she follows up the test results, treatment plans, and naturopathic prescriptions. This proceeds further follow ups to monitor the effectiveness of treatment, plans, and prescriptions. She firmly believes that one can't treat all the patients in the same way. The challenge is to understand the individual in front of you. Dr. Bhatt, who has an advanced, she has been in the field for a decade. Dr. Bhatt develops and researches a natural motor therapy program for children with intensive special disabilities. This is something very interesting that we will be discussing also. It consists of cutting edge body work and motor re education techniques to help children re-establish connections in their body through awareness and creative learning. Our programs, her programs, are a natural alternative to traditional rehabilitation methods, no medication, splints or braces, and her therapies have helped hundreds of children gain better motor control for their own bodies. I can keep on reading about her throughout the night, but instead, I reading it, I think it's better that she speaks up. Let's welcome Dr. Nishi Bhatt. Good evening, doctor. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Reena. What an amazing introduction. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. And you know, you're always welcome. So, let's not waste time because I've already wasted 3 minutes of all our viewers. Uh, what made you what you are today?
A lot of things. I think when you start getting aware of what is happening around you, whether it is your own body, whether it is your social environment, whether it is the economic circumstances that you see around in the world, how it is affecting a human being, how it is affecting a human behavior, you understand that you have to acknowledge these and then use them in your life. And I think for me, it was one of those when I used to volunteer for children's with disabilities and I used to work for geriatric side of things. I knew that there was something that was missing. There was a link that was missing. And it was somewhere where I think that me being from India, my inheritance of knowing that there is something more to a medical system that is missing. And I think when I started doing more and more of my research and more people I met who had the knowledge of ancient knowledge, I understood that where the world is going at the moment was not exactly where we should be. It should be in combination of all the other practices that happen, Reena. So I think that's what has motivated me, because I found that the studies were almost incomplete without having the historical knowledge that needed to be added into all the therapies that take place, whether it is allopathy, whether it is alternative healing.
So, like you mentioned in your verses, just a few lines before, that you used to volunteer for special needs children.
Yes.
What was it that made you volunteer for them? What was that incident, that particular incident that you decided, I want to volunteer for special needs children, or there was any other specific reason?
So, okay, so I was working in as an investment banker in London, and my history is that I did investment banking. Finance was my specialization, and we used to do a lot of CSR activities with children, and when we used to donate money, and we used to think, okay, it is going to help the children to get better each day, but I did not see any development in them. In fact, I used to see more deterioration. Yes, there were more facilities provided to the children, where they were given the chairs so that they can be comfortable. There were more drugs added to their medications, and but I did not see any changes in them that I was expecting as an outsider. I mean, I didn't have any knowledge of this before. So when I saw it as an outsider, I thought, why things are not changing if there's so much of investment which is going into special children's education, into their research. So that's what triggered me into finding more and more. And then I did a course in yoga, and we did a pranic breathing seminars. And when we did that with children, I saw an amazing glow in them within a few days of practicing that. And not all of them could follow the breathing, not all of them would be able to do the breathing as properly as they should, but it still brought a change in them. They were becoming more reflective into what they were doing, and that
So,
motivated me into I knew that there was something more than what the medical system was doing for them.
right. So, your journey from investment banker to a Nadi specialist today,
Yes.
please give us a brief glimpse of it. Because only doing yoga and pranic breathing and all, it did not make what Nishi is today.
But it opened my eyes, it opened me, it opened something in me which I could not explain at that time. I knew that there was some calling in there, or I found things very interesting as I read more and more about how our brain works, and how it is not a separate entity from your body. So the more you understand the logics of how the body works, and it's not separate from the universe, it's not separate from the surrounding in itself. And I found that the more disconnected that the people were becoming from their own roots, or from their own family, from their own children, it became evident that the person used to get more mentally ill day by day rather than getting more stable. So for me, it was an interesting kind of study. I did a lot of research. I did my own when I started doing my degree again in yogic science. I kind of started studying what is written in Gita, and then I started understanding that philosophy, and I was trying to put that into regular way of living.
In
And when
fact,
you take,
I was just about to ask you, like,
yeah,
as far as I know, you are two very, like, in spite of staying in London, you are quite very Indian, as much as I know you. Right. So,
yeah,
what was it that did not let you leave your roots?
I I would not say that I wasn't connected to my roots, because I come from a Gujarati family, and our community is a big thing for us. So we never really left community feeling, or we did not leave a heritage as such. But yes, obviously, the Western culture is so engaging as well at the same time, that it introduces you to different studies, different research that is taken care of. And I think Bhagavad Gita was always the one that highlighted, whether they mentioned it as a book, or whether they mention it as a research, which was, I did not see in research papers, but what they used to talk about in research papers was reflecting exactly what the Gita was saying in the books. So when and I think it's like the white culture has always learned how to, kind of completely erase what is Eastern philosophy. So when you start learning that, you start implementing that Eastern culture into your everyday living, and you see so much of it is yet still implemented in our family system in India or abroad. So I think it's something which you cannot say that you will ever be able to detach your heritage from your everyday living as much as you would want to, but it's somewhere along you will come back to it.
Exactly.
So
And that is
it's
what makes you complete. That's what
I
makes you complete.
absolutely. I always see this difference of, people feeling that if somebody has not been staying in India, or they are abroad, they will not have understanding of it. Somebody who is deep inside of a deep thinker will always want to learn more about where they came from, what their origin is, because if you don't look into what your origin is, you will never understand who you are as a person. And how can you do something for others if you don't understand who you are and where you come from?
Exactly. Uh, as far as I know, you have a very fluent and a very impressive Hindi too, right?
Yes.
So, was it when you were in UK, uh, there it interested you, or you refined your Hindi after coming back to India?
You have to see, wherever you are, to connect with people, you have to learn their dialect, you have to understand that dialect, you have to understand that heritage. You cannot bring in your UK culture, or wherever you grew up, you cannot bring that and expect the other people to mold themselves around. You cannot expect a society to mold around you. You have to understand what the society is made of, and wherever you are, you have to pick up those languages so that you can communicate with them. And if you are not able to communicate with the person, how will they be able to talk to you? How will they connect with you? It's very important to understand the dialect of the country that you are in. And I think Hindi is something that is understood most of the north, east, west. Maybe in southern India a little bit is still missing, but I can say that it's a common language that connects each one of us, just the way English is for the global way of understanding people. So I think language is, I found Hindi, जैसे जैसे मैं लोगों के साथ और बात करती गई, जैसे जैसे मैं और रीड करती गई, वैसे वैसे मेरी हिंदी थोड़ी सी बेहतर होती गई एवरी ईयर। और शायद हर एक पेशेंट जो मुझसे मिलता था, वो मुझे कुछ ना कुछ सिखा के जाता था कि किस तरीके से, जैसे एक शब्द है अनियन। Now I know that it's a very common word to say pyaz in, in certain areas of India they call it pyaz, and in certain areas they call it kanda. So these things, it's a small thing, but if I go in Maharashtra and I say कि आप मुझे प्याज दीजिए, they won't understand what प्याज is, but I can tell them, yeah, I am looking for kanda. So what happens is that instant connection happens with that person. There is no way, he's not going to look at you as an outsider, and he's going to just think that yes, this is the person that I can communicate with. So this is just an example. So if some patient is coming to me from any part of the world in India, or if they can speak Hindi, um, if I understood what they're talking about, I'll be able to give them something that they can connect with. You cannot speak in English where people cannot understand you. It does not. The whole purpose is lost in trying to communicate in whatever way you think is superior. I think that's not the right way to go about, especially if you're a healer. And I always call myself a healer because I am so. And if I don't connect with the person, there's no healing happening, because that's the vibrations are completely different.
Right. So, next question. Have there been any incidents where you took up a particular direction
Hmm.
but and then ended up reaching somewhere else and that benefited you for better?
I think yes, like when I spoke in the start of the program that I was an investment banker, and then I moved into the healing art. So I think it was for better, because somewhere now I have the satisfaction of whatever I'm doing is bringing change in lives of people. I mean, I'm not saying that investment bankers don't do that, but it's almost just monetary wise. Whereas when now that I'm doing something is so much more deep, it's like I wake up every day and I don't have to think, oh, I have to go to work. In fact, I wake up every day and thinking, what do I have to do for work today so that I can make somebody's life better, and so that someone else somewhere in the world who's looking up to find an answer to the solution that they're looking for. In fact, when we have children who have global delay, and the parents are searching for some solution at 2 o'clock at night, I have calls from people who call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm ready to take the call, and I'm happy to answer that because I know where that is coming from. I know how deep they are thinking about finding the solution, that they are in search, and they're passing that message to the universe, and the universe is connecting it to me. So I cannot deny that communication. So for me, that path has been my, I think, spiritual awakening. And how can I deny that? How can I deny a spiritual awakening? That is something that even if you're trying to avoid, it's still going to come and hit you on the face. There's no way. If a universe has chosen a path for you, there's no way that you can deny that. No matter how much you try to say that I'll do it later, it's never going to happen.
That's what we say, kal kabhi nahi aata.
कल कभी नहीं आता है, पर अगर आपको विश्वास है कि आपने जो कदम चुना है, वो आप स्वार्थ अपने स्वार्थ के लिए नहीं चुना है, आपने वो आपने चुना है क्योंकि वो आपका ईश्वरीय कॉल है, आपका वो जरूरत नहीं है, वो आपकी दिशा है, और वो दिशा को आपको जाना ही पड़ेगा जब आपको कॉल आएगा.
Exactly. Such
And
में.
I've seen that with a lot of people.
In fact, when I connected with you, it was just
Hmm.
by coincidence. Just by
Yeah.
coincidence. Okay, Nishi, one more thing. Though it is out of the league question that I'm going to ask you,
Sure.
uh, but there are many parents, who might be finding answers to this question. Like you are a researcher and a therapist for special education children, special
Yes.
needs children. Sorry,
Yes.
right? You have mentioned you've been treating cerebral palsy, autism. How do you like? What is the percentage? What is the percentage that that kids have been really benefited? And what is the cooperation that you would require if there are some parents who want to come and meet you for the kids who are autistic?
So far, I think for my 3 years to my research in India, I would say that I've been running this center for 3 years now. And before that, it has been around 5 years altogether. Now, what I've seen is that with Nadi Yoga, that the constant change that we're doing in therapies due to the research and the input that we're getting from the parents, we're able to, it started from 30% change to now we're seeing almost 60% change. So when we are talking about cerebral palsy, I can see that the child is able to stand on their 2 feet, and they've been able to coordinate themselves, they're able to sleep, they're able to eat, they're able to swallow, which is not an easy thing in cerebral palsy. And similar with autism, there is a lot of issues with the discipline of the child, in the way they reflect into things, how they are managing their everyday living is very different, and it's very hard for them, and their sensory abilities are so different from a normal child. So when you keep studying and when you keep getting the input from the parents, a lot of things can be changed. And what we require from parents is 100% dedication and faith that Nadi Yoga is going to be able to help them. Because unfortunately, what has happened in the world of, you know, therapies, there are a lot of children who are denied the real therapies that's supposed to help you. So, what I mean by that is that Nadi Yoga, we do all the testimonials are always online. So we never hide anything from our parents. They are all there. So when we see a month change, we put it online. Every 3 months, if there is a change, we put it online. So there is parents who can measure it themselves. We do not need models to highlight for Nadi Yoga. We, as a family, we call whoever parents who come in, they are a family. So when they are contributing it, they're not just contributing for their own child. This is a research that is going to help us to help the other autistic kids. So hyperness, hyperactivity, focus, when you change these things naturally, not by medication, okay, not by medication, none of the neuro medications is ever going to help them, because if that would have helped, why are the doctors increasing the dosages every day? If it is helping, then it should have reduced the dosages and not increase the dosages. And I think that is the question I always ask the parents, that please ask your doctors why they're increasing the dosages, because it should be that if you're taking a medication, you should be able to do more things and reduce the amount of medication that your child is taking.
Exactly.
And that's not happening. Whereas with Nadi Yoga, we do a month of therapy, and straight away the child is listening to the parent. A child is observing the parents. A child is able to sit on a table and eat food that they have always refused in their lifespan.
Right.
Now, that's
One,
a big thing.
my inquisitiveness, I'm getting more inquisitive asking, listening to you. Have Because what I have observed is some of the kids who are autistic, they have delayed speech, or they do not speech. They do not speak. They
Yeah.
either estimate their question through their actions or through different sounds. So
Yeah.
have you been able to make them speak also, like the basic requirements, basic needs, through your therapies?
Yes, we have done so in the past, where the child who has come to us has not been speaking any word at all. In fact, to the point that they're not even able to let other people know, or the parent who they are closest to know what is happening to them internally. So they would just be erratic, or they can get little aggressive, and that's how they are expressing themselves, and the parent take it as it's like one of the episodes that is happening to the child. But in fact, it may be that they might be going through an emotional turmoil, or they might be going through some pain that they were not able to express. And after we gave Nadi yoga for 5 to 6 days, I saw that the child was much more patient, was able to convey in one word. I mean, if it is whether they want to go to the toilet, they will be able to show that they want to go to the toilet. They were able to say that, yes, mom, I'm hungry. They may not be able to form the whole sentence, but they can say hungry. They're able to say sleep. They're able to say hurt. And that's a huge thing, I think, for what Nadi yoga is doing to these children and the development of the brain that we're doing. We're trying to work with the dopamine level and serotonin level of the body that can help in balancing the emotions of the person, and the brain development happens at the same time. So you are not giving a drug to control the child. You in fact giving a therapy that is going to help in development of the child's brain. If the brain is not developing, no matter how many speech therapists you see, it's not going to help in them to understand. They're not machines. You cannot treat a child as a machine. You think if you're going to keep repeating certain exercises, you keep repeating certain classes of how to vocalize something, they're not going to do it, because the brain is not understanding what is happening. The concept is not clear. It's the same thing if I'm talking to you about a certain topic that you have no understanding. You might nod your head, but you're not going to understand that topic unless you have an interest in that, or you understand what is being told, what the words mean to you. Only then you would be able to. And that's the beauty of communication that we were talking about before, or why I thought learning Hindi was the essential part of being who I am, especially if I have to live in India and if I have to work with people who are Indian. Communication, because there are emotions attached to every word that is spoken out. So if
Yes.
an autistic child has to talk, has to understand the emotions. If they don't understand the emotions, how are they going to express themselves?
Right. Through your therapies, have children started studying also, like reading,
Yes,
understanding the
yes,
alphabet?
yes.
That
And I'm
that
so
in
proud.
case, exactly. In case if we are able to do that, then definitely, there are going to be changes in the society for children, like children having ASD or any other problem. Because right now, parents are, I know certain number of parents who are literally struggling with their autistic kids. Like
And
I
I
was
feel sorry.
discussing with you, I was
Yes.
discussing
I
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that child, the child, he is very active. He loves cycling. He loves eating chocolates. He loves everything. But the problem is, he is not able to read. He is not able to speak. So that traumatizes the parents, because I know the child personally, that at times even I get traumatized. I have been trying to give different kind of strategies, you know and I'm 100% sure that your treatment and my strategies will definitely make that 60% to reach 90% or 100%.
So, definitely a communication is the key essential of how we work in this society. If you communicate yourself well, if you are speaking what you are thinking, other people can understand you better. Okay. However, when we are talking of ADHD, we're talking about autism children. A lot of it is to do with the communication, which is disrupted. The brain completely disrupts that communication that is happening. Okay. So whether it is even communicating with themselves is very difficult for them, because their thoughts are everywhere. So if you study a brain of an autistic child, it's so interesting, because the
It's
signals that are happening.
very,
Yes.
very interesting.
Yes.
It's
So
very
when you
interesting because when I was doing my uh, s- uh, postgraduate diploma from Cash UK, we had a complete chapter on autism. And they had clearly given the formats, how a brain works, how a autistic child brain works. That is why I have been always wondering, what is it that we can, because these kids can pick up anything and everything, provided they are a bit streamlined. And we
Say
don't
it again.
have so many therapists, we don't have so many special educators in Dehradun who can help children with autism.
But
Any
then,
child,
yes.
any
Are we
child,
ready to accept? Okay, so first thing is, are we ready to accept that the system has failed us? First, that is the question. If
I do
you
accept.
think, yes, but not many people do. See, it's kind of, we believe that we have failed, but the system hasn't failed. A lot of parents, they go through a guilt trip of saying, oh, I didn't do the right thing beside my child. But when a first-born child or a second-born child, any person who has a child who's born with autism, nobody knows the direction of where to go. So, and in fact, the
It's not
system is
just
not
autism.
helping.
It's not only autism. Be it dyslexia, be it dysgraphia, be it dyscalculia, or be it dyspraxia. Nobody is able to understand what is it. They just think that the child is just making a fuss for doing things, or the child doesn't want to study. Even in our schools, I'm sorry if I'm hurting anybody, but the fact is that the schools have been branding, tagging, and nagging children for not studying. They never try
And
to
that,
find out
yes,
what exactly the
that,
problem is.
yes, because that is that there is not there is no information out there which is looking for solution. There's only information out there is how to just treat them like mechanical toys, and
Exactly.
I refuse to accept that, because our brain is so versatile that if we can adapt to a situation, it may take some time. I mean, I'm not even saying that a normal brain, which is not autistic, is able to understand things as clearly as what. Not everybody is highly intellectual to connect the dots. However, if you see an intelligent autistic higher IQ levels of autism, you would see that they are able to do fantastic work. But who is out there to recognize these capabilities of autistic kids? No one, because they all want to normalize everyone. And what is
Exactly.
normalization? And I completely disagree, because everybody is intelligent in their own way, and to disregard somebody's intelligence because they do not fit into the society is completely, I do not agree with that, and Nadi yoga never ever agrees with that. We develop a child the way he is supposed to be developed. In fact, I even have an argument with parents when the parents are saying mera bacha normal kar do, and I'm like, what is normal? What do you mean normal? Are you normal? If you have started believing that your child is autistic and will never have a normal life, are you thinking normally as a parent? No, you're not. You are deflowering, you completely taking that essence of a child and saying you're not normal. This is not normal, because a lot of parents are shy to even talk about these things.
Not only that, they even if somebody tells them that yes, the child is having a problem, it can be improved. They are not ready to accept the fact that yes, there is a problem and it can be improved. They think it's a taboo for them.
But who created that taboo? Books,
It's us.
medical research that we've
Exactly.
been reading. So it
There is
means
a
that there
question,
is.
Ruchi, there is a question from Munira Bagwan. She
Hmm.
says, don't you think schools should train every teacher to handle these students? Definitely, ma'am, they should train. But how many schools are ready to train their teachers to handle children differently? How many schools are ready to accept the fact that all children are born equally?
But are we as a parent doing the right thing?
Not at
Forget
all.
school.
Not at all.
Forget the school. I don't blame the schools at all, because I think that is the second stage of development of the child. Okay, I am talking about the family system.
Parents. First
Are
it's the
you
parents.
are you as a parent doing the right thing beside your child? Are you making him dependent on the drugs? Are you the one who's giving him mobile in his hand so you could have few hours of yourself? And I'm not saying that is a wrong thing to do, but that is the only thing that we've learned how to resolve a solution, is to think, okay, if I give a mobile to my son, he will sit in the corner for at least few hours, and I'll be able to organize my life a little bit, so, and everything is left on the mother
Kids,
in
kids,
India.
kids as old as 6 months are handed over mobiles so that they don't cry. They just sit at a place and they just fidget with it.
Yes.
Unknowingly, they don't know what they are doing with the kids.
See, it's not just that. Our whole system, when the child is diagnosed with autism, they're straight away thrown into a medical system of therapies. Okay, so either
Not
they get
they
occupational.
have to they have to wait for hours and hours for getting themselves evaluated, running from this table to that table and that table to the other table. It's whole days are spent. Not everybody is getting the privilege of getting it done at one place. And then they have that it should be a government registered office stamp on that, government hospital stamp on that, that yes, the child is facing a problem. Then only the schools will accept it.
But what if there is a solution before you even get them registered? And I can say that if they come to Nadi Yoga, the child will not develop severe autistic symptoms. What
Exactly.
if there is a solution?
And once they evaluate the child, they don't even write the entire thing what all problems the child is facing. They just give a small term: mildly autistic, language delay, or mildly dyslexic, writing issues. That's it. Not beyond that. They don't move beyond that.
Because there is no connection there, Reena. See, you got to understand that every autism child or every cerebral palsy child or any development delay in a child, every child is so unique. But a medical system does not have a unique therapy for each and every child. So when you are talking about a child having ADHD, dyslexia, even dyslexia is so different to every child. You cannot
Exactly.
say one is
The levels
dyslexic
are
and
different.
say,
The
yes.
levels are different.
But where does this ignorance come from? That's where I'm asking you a question. Is the parent doing the research that they should be doing, or
Not
they
every
are
parent.
easy
Not
to
every
blame?
parent. Not
They are
every
easy to blame the doctor. It's very easy to blame the doctor. Oh, my doctor did this, oh, I vaccinated my child because my doctor told me so. But did you actually read the side effects of what you're giving to your child? Did you do your research before giving a medication to your child? No, you did not do that. You just depended on the doctor to diagnose it and just say, okay, yeah, I'll give it to my child because the doctor says so. And this is, I'm not talking about parents who are not educated. I'm talking about masters, people who have got PhD in whatever they're doing, but yet they will not question the system. And that's where I am asking that question, is if there is an alternative therapy that is available to your child that can bring the change. And I'm not just talking about Nadi Yoga. I'm sure there is a different forms of therapies that a lot of people are working in this world. I can't be the only person in the universe who's been given this task of doing this. I'm sure there are other workers too. So if there are alternative healings, I would suggest go ahead and do that. You don't need to wait for the doctor to say, yes, your child is autistic and you have to give these medications to get it right. Maybe we can develop the brain of the child, and whatever has gone wrong during pregnancy can be corrected after the birth of the child. So it is very essential for a parent first, before blaming anybody else. Let's not blame the system. Let's not blame anything, because everybody is doing whatever is written in the book. Very few of them are out there to question what is written in the books. You would see a less lot people who will accept what I'm saying today than people who will accept it. So
Yes.
it's not, it's, we need to question ourselves, why are we doing what we are told? Why aren't we questioning the system? If there is, okay, why is my child only told to go to occupational therapist? Why is my child only told to go to physiotherapist? Why am I not told to go to an acupuncturist or an acupressurist or any other specialist in
Yeah,
the department of
because
alternative healing?
if OT is involved, OT can be done at home as well. Why isn't anybody telling them to just mix the beans and get them separated?
See,
Why isn't anybody
every
telling them
OT,
to,
yes.
why why isn't anybody telling them to improve the hand-eye coordination by letting the child play football?
Very true. But this is because of our naive behavior. We pretend to be naive. As a parent, it's easy to be naive. It's easy to say, okay, yes, this is something that I didn't do. The doctor told me to do it, so I'm doing it. However, I have seen persistence in parents. Like I said, I get calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. I get calls at 12 o'clock in the night. Those are the parents. When you ask me what is my motivation, is are those parents? How can I deny that motivation that is keeping that person up at night at 2 o'clock and looking through the YouTube where there's millions and billions of therapies that are expressed online, and they choose to call us? How can I deny that? That is my motivation. I cannot sit in the corner of a room and sulk and think, oh, yeah, things are going to get better. No, I have to make it better. If a child is not developing the way we thought that it should be developing, then I need to find and research my way. I cannot just sit down and say, this is it. Whatever has worked for me in the past, in the children, I will just make it work that way. No, it doesn't work. You have to research. The brain is amazing magical place. You cannot just say, this is I'm going to pluck this part and just this is the answer for every brain that I'm working with. My brain, when I'm sitting down doing one task, there is a different set of neurons that are working for it, and then when I'm doing in another activity. So if I'm working with a child with autism brain, which is hypersensitive to a lot of things, which is so amazing to learn and to understand that brain, how can I sit and just think, yeah, I'm just going to make it work the way it worked for the last child? Because it's not going to work that way, and I'm not going to fail my children who are coming to me. And that is the motivation. I'm not going to fail that child. Somewhere he's connected with me. I don't know how many of you who are watching this will believe that the universe gives you the signals. The child is
That's
communicating
the
with
reason
me.
why we both connected too. The universe
Yes,
gave us signals that we need to connect, and that is
yes.
how we connected.
You cannot, out of all the billion videos in on the internet, the child is giving direction to the mother to connect with us. So it's not something that just comes about. People think it just happens that they call them. No, there is some work that is going on in the universe, which is connecting each brain to another. When you need somebody, I think that it must have happened to a lot of people, where you're thinking about somebody and they call you. It's not, you
Been
have to
many
understand
a times
that
with both
there's
of
some.
us. It's been many a times with both of us also.
Yes. And it's amazing how we have connected, and you said, I was just thinking about you. And I said, yeah, I mean, this is amazing, because the more you connect with the person, the more you think about getting a solution, you will receive a solution.
Yes.
I was thinking about, creating a space for these children where, I was always thinking about it. I was always thinking about it, of how to get an answer. The books did not give me an answer. The medical books never gave me an answer. It was almost like a repetition. You read 10 different books of medicine and they're all the same. So you have to connect something beyond what you're reading, something beyond what you are watching, beyond what you've been told that this is what it is. The fact is, never accept that this is the end. And that's the truth about Nadi Yoga. We never say that this is the end. We always say it is the beginning. So never ever, I have never ever given up because of this.
Great, great. Okay, once I was talking to you, we spoke about treating cancer patients also.
Yes.
Can you share some experiences? Because Nadi Yoga is something that has no side effects. Be
Yes.
be it I have a question. I think I should read that. So how is Nadi Yoga helpful in autism cases?
Nadi Yoga develops the brain. So, okay, so when we're talking about developing brain, okay, so
We'll come to the
the
cancer question after you answer this.
okay, sure. So, when we are working with autism, it is a lot to do with the dopamine levels and the serotonin levels. Okay. Now, the dopamine levels are also connected to your gut. Okay. Now, there's a new study which has come out of where they say that the gut health is very much related to your brain health. So it is like a second brain, the first brain and then the second brain. Now, when there is a communication with both of them, if we correct both of the brains together, you see that the autism level of the child, so when we're talking about symptoms of hyperness, it reduces it. So there is a calmness in the child when the body is working in a calm way. You would see that they start focusing much more better. So we do treatments which are tailor made according to the child. So we study this child, the input that we get from the parents, the videos that we get from the parents, anything that we can get on the child, we understand that. Okay. And the majority of it is a lot of to do with social circumstances of the child as well. If I have seen, which is very clearly seen in the parents' behavior, I know where the child is getting it from. So instead of calming the child, if the parents are hyper, I have to first calm the parents down. I have to make them understand that their behavior is not really helping the child to get better. In fact, it is making it worse, because if I'm doing a treatment and it is not seen in the child, there is like when they come to the clinic, I'm able to see the change in the child, and within 5 days I'm able to see that the child is listening to what I'm trying to say. If I'm giving the commands, is he's performing the command. But within, when they go home and the whole behavior changes again back to normal, that means that the whole structure that he is in, the social surrounding that he is in, that needs to change. So there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of variation. I cannot just answer one. It's a very broad question of how can we change. But this is one of the reasons why I can say that autism is not easy. It's a very complex symptoms to learn.
Exactly. I
But
think
I think it's a very interesting concept. If I have to take a parent, and I always say to the parent that you are the reason that your child is not getting better, and I will say it to the face of the parent if I think that the child is facing these issues because of the parent. I have
right.
given treatment, I have given therapy to the parent, and I have seen the child changing its symptoms. The doctors, the people, the psychologists who have evaluated as a severe autism has now gone back to say it is only behavioral disorder. So that's a huge thing. From
That is
autism,
yes,
within
yes.
that too, within 3 to 4 months, from severe autism, how can the evaluation be that he's just got behavioral disorder? So that has changed something. It has changed the behavior of the child. Only then, how else a person who is a psychologist is able to get into the brain of an autistic child and say, now that has changed?
Exactly.
You
Like
know?
it's not that nobody can get into the brain. It's just through writings and your sketches and coloring that you come to know what problem the child is facing, and that is how they evaluate the child.
Yes, but we in Nadi Yoga, we go even more deeper.
Yeah.
We go even more deeper. I'm not relying on the behavior of the child to give me those kind of hints.
Hmm.
I communicate with the child in different ways. I communicate with the parents in different ways. I communicate with the father in different ways. If I see a father completely disconnected from his child, how can he expect the child to communicate with the parents? That's not going to happen.
Hmm.
I have parents who come and say, हमने आपको पैसा दे दिया, आप हमारे बच्चे को सही करके हमें वापस दे दो. That's not how it works. We have to work as a family. We have to work as an institute together. You cannot be just giving me money and think you will be able to get the child better. No, it's a work. You have to do that work at home as much as we're doing it over here.
Exactly.
So it's something that you have to talk it out. It's a very complex world of
I think
uh,
we can have different talks. One day on autism, one day on cerebral palsy, one day on dyslexia. Because you know what, this is something which every parent, be it a teacher, be it anybody, they should know. In case if a child is facing any of the symptoms that we discuss, they need to take care of it. They cannot just brand, tag, and nag a child for being or doing what he is.
see, we have to give them tools. You
Exactly.
see, parent needs to be given the tools. If
The
they not,
the red flags that we call.
yes, or they need to get aware of, okay, these are the things that we need to evaluate. So if we're talking like when we grew up in schools, we studied so much about diseases, physical diseases. We studied so much about the biology of the body, but we never studied about the complexities of the brain. And if there is a mental health issues, if there is mental challenges that are there, how many of them are able to acknowledge that? Because we never studied about that. We never even touched a little bit in our schools. So these are things that the schools need to start bringing it into their syllabus. And I'm not talking in, after 10th or 12th. I'm talking when they are, from the time that they understand. So I would say from the 8th grade, or maybe even before that, when
I
nowadays
think
the
that is what
children.
we discussed also, that we should
Yes.
include this.
Yes. So we need to. I think the children are growing and maturing so much faster than before because of all the, technology that is available, and I think they're way much smarter in that.
Yeah,
So
they
if
are.
we kind of bring them from the fifth standard of understanding, if they have a student in their own class who's behaving in a different way, instead of bullying that child, the people will probably the children will start accepting the behavior and understanding why that child is behaving in a certain way.
In
And
fact,
children
that is the
have,
need of the second. That is the need of the second, not an art, but that is the need of the second. Teachers need teachers and friends, peers. First, the teachers need to know and understand that all children are born different. No child is the same. It is our education system that has just chopped off the creativity thing in the child and made them the same.
yes,
Okay,
I
one more thing
yes.
about autism. Like while I was introducing you to our audience, there was diet counseling, right? So some people have told me that autistic kids are denied of they are banned from taking milk. Is it
Dairy.
so? It is. Why? It is my inquisitiveness.
See, when you are taking dairy, a lot of it has contains lactose, okay, which is a pure form of sugar. In the sense, if we are giving sugar, excessive sugar to the child, straight away the brain, obviously the brain, as everybody might know, or if they don't know, then the brain works on glucose. Now, if we are giving excessive glucose to the child, even if it is a normal human being, will start behaving in a different manner, will start being more erratic in nature. So when we are reducing the dairy, we are reducing the amount of glucose that goes
Sugar
into it.
into the body.
Yes. So that is just an iceberg, the top of the iceberg. But the more we study about our gut health, okay, the microbes in our guts and all those things, you realize that there's so much more to why the children behave in that way. So when we start giving the treatment in Nadi yoga, it's so interesting because we do diet therapy as well. And it's so, what is the sad part is that it's the parents who are reluctant to do the diet. Okay, the
Hmm.
child is not, the parent is. It's like, oh, if I stop giving milk, oh my god, my parents have always taught me that the milk is the wire, the body develops and all those things. I said, no, it's not necessary. I mean, if you are giving the right amount of nutrition to your child in a natural habitat, if it's a natural food, if it's a natural fructose, then your child is still getting the essentials. There is no way that it's only the milk that is giving you the essentials. And it's a very wrong belief. I mean, I am not a vegan myself, but I try to reduce as much as dairy as possible, not because I'm going through anything, but because I know that milk is not always the right way to go, and it does not suit everyone. If it suits someone, great, take it on. But it, like, again, what we're saying, it's the same medical system thing, that if it suits, it should suit everybody. If it is one thing, yes, it's good for everyone. No, it's not. I am different. I've been brought up different. You were different, Reena. You've been brought up in a different environment. So how can your diet be perfectly right for me? I can't. My
Exactly.
husband's Punjabi, he can eat wheat and nothing will happen to him. I eat wheat and I will put on weight, and which I have done. So it's not something that it's not something that will reflect in the similar way. When we are talking about having two different people, it's completely different brain. The fingerprints are different. I mean, why are we using fingerprints? Because every person is different, and we need to acknowledge that again and again, and start coming out of the books. Start coming out of the books. Yes, use that as a basic knowledge, but come out of the books, and you will see so much more happening around you. The child will give you so much information.
Yes, that is why
Unfortunately.
this child is the teacher of man.
Yes.
You learn a lot from children. Really, you learn a lot from children. There are children, who have, who still remember the worst of incidents happened in their life, and they grow up with that. And then one fine day, they say, "This happened, this happened, this happened," and the parents are unaware that this is going up in their mind, and that is the reason, which is hindering their performance also.
Well, you'd be surprised. It's not just when they're born. They are listening to you when, even if you're talking to yourself, if they are still in your tummy, they're still listening to you. So it's not, even if before the child is formed in your tummy, your cells are listening to you. So when the baby is being formed, it's going through so much of fear, it's going through so much of hormonal changes of its own. And if you are not in peace with yourself, if you're not ready for the child will inherit a lot of hyperactivity that you are thinking at that very moment of time when you have conceived the child.
That is why it is said whenever you are pregnant, you need to be relaxed, happy, and you need to eat nutritious food.
Absolutely, and it's very vital. And I have seen when the mother has taken, a therapy from us when they are planning to conceive. I have seen the child is completely different from the first child to the second child.
Right.
So again, that is something that, that's why I don't blame anyone. I always try to see where my shortcomings are. Only then you'll be able to improve. This system is what we have created. If I keep on evaluating myself, where I my shortcomings are, I'll never be able to kind of, say to anybody else that you didn't do something for me, because I will still be reaching the things that I want to achieve. And that's what the parents that come to us have taught me, that if you keep doing what you want to do and what you have always dreamed of, and you have got goals, you will reach there. There is no other way, unless you've learned how to blame others. If you have learned to blame others, you are never ever ever going to reach what you ever want to achieve in your life. So
Right.
let's not blame the system. Let's not blame anyone else. Let's just start doing things which is right for us, and if which is right for our child. If you have a child who has specific needs that needs to be taken care of, don't give an excuse out to say that I don't know what to do. Because I know that if somebody wants something really, I have seen them to go and get it and get and achieve that. So it's the sheer laziness of a person when somebody says I don't know how to do that. Because if you want, you will be able to get it. And I think there are so many examples of that. I can tell you of the parents who come to us. If you go to a YouTube channel, you will see the parents who have completely denied saying that, I will never hear a doctor say that my child is never going to change. They have seen the change. And the most beautiful part is when they come to us for consultation the first time, they said, oh, I wish my child can only do like 5% of things of everyday living. And then when they come to us in the first month after the therapy, they are expecting so much out of us. Like, they're expecting their child to walk, to run, to be able to read, write, go to school. And
That was, I think there was a video once you shared with me also, where
yes,
a child could hardly walk before few weeks, and
yes,
within a week, he started walking. That
yes.
was that was quite amazing, and that was like, okay, if this can happen, then anything can happen.
Absolutely, and those are my patient who are from Pakistan. Okay, and this is amazing that we are able to connect, and the people from abroad are taking advantage of Nadi yoga, and the people in India itself don't know what is happening. And what is the revolutionary therapy that is happening. I have a patient, autistic patient in Canada, who today is drawing pictures and able to express his imagination into the pictures. I wish I had that at the moment, but you will be able to see if you go to a YouTube Nadi Yoga YouTube channel. You'll be able to see a painting of the child. The child is able to speak the words and able to rhyme together. When they came to us, the mother was just saying, I wish he's just able to eat something. I wish he's just able to sit down at one place. That was the only thing she wanted from me. And today she wants all the things in the world for the child. And I'm so happy for them. Because when they come to me to say what next, then when they were told that there's nothing going to happen to your child is just going to stay the way he is, just make sure that when they're growing old, you have enough funds for them to look after them. Or the worst advice that I've heard from doctors that our parents tell us is have a second child, at least have three children, so that all the three children, and then obviously the child who's autistic or has disabilities, they were told that have three children so all three of them can alternatively look after your child that has special needs.
This is stupidity. This is stupidity.
But that's the thing that doctors are saying. That is something maybe that I don't know why they say certain things like that to the parents. Why, if they can't give a solution, they have no right to despair somebody. You don't have to just direct them to physiotherapy, you don't have to just direct them to occupational therapy. I have heard homeopathy is also doing a great work in this autism field. I've also heard of certain yogic sciences that are also bringing out therapies for their children. And there's also Nadi yoga. I mean, it's not, we are working day and night. Every person who's in this field is doing their best to bring solution, and it's not out of selfishness. I am not competing with these big names. They will never let me survive if all these big names are asked to answer what is happening. They will not let all of these people survive who are working day and night, giving therapies to these children, and we don't even need to give them medication. I don't give medication to my child who is coming to me for their therapy. I tell them that if you are having a right way method of doing the right thing for your child, you will see change in your child. Don't wait on these doctors to tell you that, oh, is your child going to be better in the future or not. They have no right to tell you that they are not going to be right. How do they know the future? I don't think they're giving any gemstones out there to say that, oh, you know I mean, they don't even know their own future. I mean, who knew about COVID is going to come and change the whole life of people? Who knew about this?
No,
Nobody knew. Who knew that COVID is going to bring the whole communities together? Nobody knew.
exactly.
So these things don't predict. Take it as it is. Take all the knowledge that you can get. Look for alternatives. There's so many people doing work. There's so many research that has been going on in personal level. Not, I mean, I'm not going to be funded by a pharmaceutical company because for them I'm a loss. I'm going to stop the medication of the child who's been given 1,500 for one medicine. I'm
Hmm?
stopping that medicine for these children, so they're not going to be saying, offering me a helping hand.
Exactly.
My strength is the work that I'm doing. My strength is the parents who are working along with us and bringing the change in these children. That is my strength.
Yes.
And
There is
that's what
one more
it's about.
strength. There is one more strength that you have, and that is your Ayurveda knowledge.
Yes. Yes.
That
However,
that is
I
like
try.
it's your
I
Nadi
never
yoga
flaunt
and Ayurveda.
that. I never. I never flaunt that. The only reason why is because I try as much as possible that we can change the DNA of a person, or we can regenerate cells without giving anything from outside. Okay,
Yes.
as long as I can take care of somebody without giving any medication, whether it is any herbs, whether it is anything else, if I can take care by the diet, if I can take care of the social circumstances that they're happening, they're facing, and if I can connect with the child at the cellular level, if I'm able to correct the cellular level activities, I don't need anything else. The herbs were supposed to be given only when you have tried everything else. Only then the herbs were meant to be given to the person. But now, if I A lot of parents come to us and say, oh, so what is the medicine now? You've given us the treatment. What are the medicines? I said, I don't give any medicines. And they're gobsmacked. They don't believe it unless in a month's time when they start seeing the changes in the child. And I'm also, I also get excited. I mean, you can see the sparkle in my eyes right now when I'm talking about it. But you have to get used to the idea that you don't need medicine to correct your body work. You have to correct the way you think.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. Sometimes a normal way of thinking, I always correct people and they don't like it, and I always push those limitations for people. And it does differentiate the way I talk to someone. But I am direct. I will say what is right and I will say what is wrong. It is you who have to evaluate, is what I've said, does that fit into your mind? If it doesn't, let it go. It does not mean that today what I'm saying is going to be right for you today. Maybe tomorrow it might be right for me.
Yes. Last two questions.
Yes.
Last two questions.
Yes.
Uh, you have a YouTube channel. How many subscribers do you have? So that we have more subscribers for you.
We have about 34 million followers. I mean, they don't subscribe as such, but they view there's not much engagement, but we do have numbers which is 34 million and more as we are counting every day. And
Great.
yes, I think I am proud that, so many people are taking advantage of this
I'm
and
also one of, I'm also one of them.
thank you so much. And I think you have always inspired, and even the work that you're doing, Reena, is remarkable because you are trying to create a trend which is so futuristic, to give a child what is needed, the skill training that you're doing. It's amazing. And I think if people have started accepting this, it's going to be very good for the child and the development of the brain, because
Yes.
everybody is born with such a unique intelligence in them that you have to give more air and more fuel to that, rather than cutting it off and say, no, you have to be good at math, science, and English, and I don't know, whatever the
You
mainstream
have
is
to
in
be good
India.
at what I feel is you have to be good at whatever you like,
Absolutely.
whatever, whatever gives that spark in your eye that yes, I can do it.
वो हर जगह पे, लाइक वो आपके जहन में होना चाहिए, आपके दिमाग में होना चाहिए, और
आपकी
वही
आंखों में सबसे
आपकी
पहले
आंखों
होना
में होना चाहिए. Absolutely. When you sleep, you have to sleep with it, you dream of it, you wake up with it. Only that is what is right for you. But unfortunately, a lot of people want to have a stable job, and I'm not completely saying that is a wrong way to go, because if that's the way they are, that's the way they are. But if as a child, if I mentor them to think what they're thinking is right, I'm sure they're going to go a lot more further than what they're doing now.
right,
And we'll have so much more options, we'll have so much more of inventions, we'll have so much more of things going on, because people will be questioning things. That's what we need inventions, we need innovators. We don't need somebody who's just following
tagline is.
up.
That is what our tagline is. Engage, innovate, experience, learn, and grow.
Yes, and I think, Rena, you're doing an amazing job in that. And I love what you're doing, because again, it's a very different way of thinking. And I hope parents take that in. The parents have to learn that now there's a different way of understanding things. The
Yes.
children are highly intellectual. So we need to kind of give them that. We have to give them the credit of what these children are born with. These are old souls that are taking birth. I don't think if I'm mixing the western and the eastern philosophy together, these are old souls who have learned through their births. and they're bringing it in this birth. So if we listen to them, what they have to say, if we follow them through what they have to say, and all the questions that they're asking, if we are not able to find that answer, we need to search for that and
Exactly,
explain.
and that is what sparks that thing in the brain that okay, if the child can ask this, we need to find an answer for it. We
Yes.
can't say कि नहीं 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 ऐसा नहीं हो सकता.
See,
No,
I was very lucky to be born. My grandmother was she did her degree when it was like in 18,000. So when you kind of have a grandmother who would answer all your questions, and she would look into books to answer the queries that I had asked about certain stories about Ramayana or Mahabharata or whatever the ancient stories which were told. I used to ask questions, and my granny used to answer them for us. But that's not available to the children today, because none of the grandparents, they live with their children today.
very true.
So I was very lucky because I had a granny and a nana and nani, both of them. So I would, wherever I went, I was always asking questions and I was getting the answer for it. So that's how I learned to question the system. That's how I learned to understand. Nobody said, "Oh, you're not allowed to ask that question." Whereas a lot of system in this country, or whether it is out of the country, would say, no, you're not supposed to ask questions. I would say, go ahead, even if you're thrown out of the class, go ahead and ask that question, because at least you're going to make that teacher think about that question, and maybe the next child will get the answer for that question.
Exactly, and that's very true. That's very true. So, we are not supposed to tell the child, okay, we are not supposed to give them answers, rather. We
Yes.
have to develop that inquisitiveness in them to ask why.
Yes.
Completely missing these days.
Yes. And
Last,
see, if you look at the way a mother is treated in a family, if you look at the way a wife is treated in the family, if a woman is asked to keep quiet a lot of times, a lot of mental stress, emotional stress, you will see that it is passed on to the child who's conceived.
exactly.
Okay, so
It
I'm not just talking about women. I will also say that there is a lot of men who cannot express themselves, who are not able to or not allowed to express themselves. So again, that is what we need to change. We need to let people talk. We need to allow them to express.
yes. Last question. After
Yeah.
that, because I know you are busy, but I have taken almost the whole day of yours.
It
So
is always my pleasure, Reena. It's always been a pleasure.
thank you so much. I'm blessed. Okay, the last question, like through your talk, and as far as I know you, you have touched a number of lives. When they are always looking up to you, how do you feel?
How do I feel? I feel very blessed. I feel very blessed to be able to give hope to someone. I feel very blessed that there is a system that is going against a person, and I'm able to give them something to be positive about. And that's something that has motivated me. That's something that I always think whenever I'm doing something, am I motivating somebody to be where I am, or am I demotivating someone? So
Right.
always when you are doing an action, when you're doing something, don't be silenced by the crowd. Don't be silenced by the noise that people make. Listen to your voice, listen. And if you are motivating somebody with your voice, do so. If you are motivating somebody with your action, do so. And I have done the same because that responsibility came on to me of knowing that I have this power to change, the lives of people who, and that is not my power. I always tell people it's not my power, it is the universal grace which has been put on to me. It's not something humanly to do something that what we're doing. It's not humanly of only me doing the work that we're doing day in day out. It's an energy, it is a force that comes about us, and you have to accept that. And once
Yes.
we accept that we are one with the universe is not a separate entity. We are one with all these guiding forces, all these energies which are around us. So let's have a positive impact on the society. Let's do something positive. Let us hear people who can't talk. Let's not silence them. Let's hear them. Let the sound come out. Let voices come out of people which has been silenced for so long. And we will see, and I'm talking about children. I'm not eradicating them out in this, because I think a lot of parents think that only if a child is able to speak the word, that's only the time that they're communicating. No, please don't. If you are sitting in silence with your child, and if you put your heart and his heart together, you will be able to hear so many emotions that you cannot express it to anyone. Only that child is expressing it to the mother. Even if the child is out of the tummy of the mother will feel the pain throughout the lifespan. Even if the child grows up to be a man, a woman, a wife, whatever it is, that mother will always feel the pain. So let's not cancel out that communication. Let's not say it's only the words coming out of the mouth that is the most important thing. In fact, the noise that's coming out of the mouth is the most irrelevant one. It is how we connect with one another without saying something. That's the
Thank you
most
so
important.
much. Thank you so much, Nishi. We will definitely have one more session with you. And this time it's going to be completely on Nadi Yoga.
We will
Completely on.
definitely. I think I also learned so much, Reena, about what you do, and what an amazing work. I mean, you have a lot of work that needs to be put in, and I'm sure you're going to get this support because you have thrown out these amazing positive vibes out there in the universe, and I'm sure that you're going to get a lot of response. And I am completely honored today to be interviewed by you, Reena, because I think
In
you
fact,
have
I am
made.
honored. In fact, I am honored for having all such amazing and stalwarts in their fields. I have no words to express. Whosoever I have spoken to, all of them have not said no. Everybody said, yes, we'll be there for you. And I'm
It's
really honored to have everybody, and still our series is going to continue. I don't know to when, but yes, whosoever I'm connecting with, they are not refusing to come on my show. I'm really blessed to have that blessing from all of you to be here with me.
it's
Thank you
it's
so
always
much.
a pleasure. Always there
Thank
for
you
you,
so much.
Reena.
And namaste. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Thank you.
So here we end our session today. Tomorrow we will be having Mr. Sunil Ajmera, a very interesting personality. Let's see what he has in his bucket for us. Thank you and namaste.